Hi folks, Mr. P here, Maths Today. This is the 12th of January. We are going to be doing some work on measure. We are going to be concentrating on weight today. Now, weight is linked to something called mass, but for the time being, we are just going to call it weight. If you can, I would like you to try and get some equipment, okay? If you can get something like this, can of beans, something like that if you can, or maybe a bag of pasta, something like that, or maybe a couple of bags of pasta. That would be awesome. I would also like you, if you can, to try and get some scales. Now, the scales in people's houses always look different. These are our kitchen scales, okay, so they're quite small. When I press the on button, it comes on. And then I can put my tin of beans on there, and it tells me that tin of beans weighs 488 grams. Put my bag of pasta on, that weighs 505 grams. So they're both about 500 grams, and that's kind of what I want you to get. Don't worry too much yet about grams and what they are. We'll come to that later, okay? If you haven't got normal kitchen scales, or your kitchen scales might be the ones that you see them and they have something that looks like that on it, and there might be some numbers, and then you might get 100 grams, 200 grams or something. That's perfect as well. If you haven't got anything like that, don't worry. You also might have something that looks like this. These are our bathroom scales. Okay, and again, we've got ones that when I push down on it, they come on like that. And again, if I put my tin of beans on there, no, it's not measuring it because it uses for measuring people, so these don't quite measure on it. But anyway, something like that can help you, so do some measuring. That's your first thing to do, is to go and get something to measure. If you can't get something to measure, that's fine. Get a tin of beans or a tin of some description, get a bag of pasta, something that you think is about 500 grams or 1,000 grams, which is a kilogram. Hopefully there'll be somebody at home to help you do this, and then pop back in. And you can pause this video now and then pop back in, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, once you've got your stuff, what I would like you to do is get a bit of paper. I'm going to do this freehand because I'm not sure what kind of paper you've got at home. If you've got your jotter, that's fantastic. I don't have a jotter, so I'm going to do mine freehand. Now, I'm going to write a list of some things that I think you might want to get. So next thing you're going to do is get a list of things. So you've got a tin of beans, or you've got a bag of pasta. Some other stuff you could get a shampoo bottle. You could get a bar of soap. You could get a carton of milk. You could get a can or a bottle of some description. Maybe that might be juice or water. You could get maybe a block of cheese. You could get maybe a toy, a couple of toys, whatever they might be, not too big, not too ridiculously heavy. Then you might want to get maybe a jar. Maybe it might be a jar of jam or peanut butter or whatever it might be. That doesn't matter. Maybe then you might want to get something a little bit heavier. Maybe a shoe. What else could you get? Any other ideas? I'm asking my son here, guys. You could get a pot. Yeah, good idea, Sean. You could get some pots or a frying pan. Basically a whole lot of things that are of different weights, okay? So that's your next job. Go and collect maybe 10 different things if you can, somewhere in the region of 5 to 10 different things, okay? That's your next thing, and get them all laid out. Off you go. Okay, we're back. The next thing that I would like us to do is to try and draw this table out again. If you've got a bit of squared paper, just a bit of normal paper, we do this the best we can, okay? Because I know we're all working at home, so we have to make the best of what we've got. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of a list. What you're going to do first of all is the top thing you're going to write is object. That's the things that you've got, okay? Now, what we're going to do next of all is we are going to draw a line down there. Okay, so now I'm just going to try and move my camera ever so slightly so you can see this a bit better. I've got one of these newfangled tripod things and I'm still getting used to it. Okay, so I've written object. It's a little bit blurry at the moment, but there we go, that's a little bit better. Okay, so we've got our objects. So this is going to be our title line. So we're going to draw a line along there, okay? Now, I'm going to make this progressively harder as it goes along. You can do as much as you're comfortable doing. If you start to get confused, that's absolutely fine. Okay, what we're going to do next is we are going to write down my guess. Okay. Now, once we've done that, I'm going to turn it around so it's easier. I'm going to do my lines along here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now here are all the things that I talked about earlier. We've also got the can of beans and the thing of pasta. And what I want us to do is to write down, I want to write an L here for lightest, and then down the bottom I'm going to write an H for heaviest, okay? So you want to think about what's going to be the lightest object that you've got. So out of all of these, I think for me, I'm going to guess it's the soap, okay? I'm going to write the soap up here. And then the heaviest thing, well, it depends. If you've got one of these huge jugs of cartons of milk, then it might be that, but it might be the pot. I'm going to write in, excuse me, frying pan down the bottom. Okay, and then you're going to write down what you think the next lightest thing, the next, and they're getting progressively heavier, okay? So these are the objects, okay? Then once you've done that, you're going to write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? So 1 being the lightest. Now, let's say that your pasta that you know the weight of was there, okay? So weight, I'm going to write in there. So my pasta, if I look at my pasta, you'll see on these things, this one says 500 grams. Hopefully you can see that just there. Don't worry if it's got a big E next to it, that just means that this thing inside the packet weighs 500 grams. They haven't actually weighed the packet as well. Okay, so I'm going to write down here that my pasta is 500 grams. Now, what the next thing you want to be doing is estimating, okay? So you're going to do a guess. So I'm holding this pasta in my hand and it's 500 grams, and then I might have decided that I'm going to weigh this mat, okay? It's just a drinks mat. I'm going to think, okay, what's the heaviest here? That's 500 of them. That's much, much, much lighter. Ooh, definitely much lighter. So maybe my soap that I had picked up earlier, I might think, do you know, that's about, maybe just about 100 grams. Don't worry about the number even. If you could just guess the weight, okay? If you think one thing's 500 weights, how much is the soap? If it's 100 weights, that's fine, you put it in, okay? If your cheese is next, if you think that's a little bit heavier, you might say that's 150 grams. Don't worry about that. I'm going to put up a separate video about what grams actually are. So you can watch the other video first if you want to give you an idea. That would be absolutely fine. But I want you, so you've got to guess what you think the weight of each thing is, okay? Once you've done that, if you can, doesn't matter if you can't, then you're going to write actual weight, okay? And you're going to go away and weigh them all. So I guessed that my soap was 100 grams, but when I put it on my weighing scales, it was actually 127 grams, okay? You're going to write the weight in. And for every one you get right, if it was the lightest, it's in the right position, you get a tick. Okay, I know that this is quite hard to follow, and it's a shame that we're having to do it through a video, because this would have been a great thing to do in school, but we'll get there. Okay, so once you've done that, you can pause the video and then there'll be some more to do. Okay, the next thing that you can do if you want to, you could stop here if you wanted today. If you just wanted to guess the weight and that's all you could get to today, that's absolutely fine. If you manage to wait today and you get to that today, that's absolutely fine. If you want to push it a little bit further, then you could write the diff, which is short for the difference. So I want you to find out what was the difference between your guess of the weight and the actual weight. So in this case, I guessed it was 100 grams, but it was actually 27 grams. So I'm going to write I was 27 grams out. Now, if it was 100 grams and I guessed, well, let's say we do the cheese, and I guessed it was 150, but it was actually 140 grams, then I was 10 grams out, but I was 10 grams down the way, so I would say I was 10 grams less. Okay, that's your next task. If you want to get to that today, that's absolutely fine. Tomorrow, what we might think about doing is trying to put things into kilograms and making the connection between the different types of weight. But I think if we can get that far today, that's a really good start. Some of us have done a little bit of this before, so this is a good revision for you guys. And those of you who are new to this, then this is a good start. So I think we'll leave it there for today. If you find you've got lots of time left before lunch, then I would suggest you might want to go and do some sum dog, or you could try some completely different objects if you wanted to. Okay, thanks guys, well done.